Like, how much did you weigh?
157.4 kilograms. Clothes had gone tighter on me, and then I had to go buy new ones. But I was like, Mom, why are you washing my clothes? Why are you drying them? They're shrinking. But I weren't shrinking. I was growing. Put my seatbelt on, and I noticed that the seatbelt went out all the way. Don't have a lap. This whole space was occupied by stomach. Like, I imagined my young self looking at me then and saying, like, what happened to us? For real, we trained it. Would you ever step into a ring?
Who wants the smoke? What was it like getting knocked out?
Just like everyone describes it, it's actually pretty accurate when people say it's feel like an electric shock go through your body.
You would do it now, like if we had it in studio. Like, would you smell selling salts right now?
No, not right now.
Oh, really? Are you sure?
Oh!
What do Aunt Gracie, vapes, and a phone all have in common? They all die eventually. Unfortunately, we can't do anything about Gracie or your vapes. But what I can do is help you out with your phones. My friends over at Ampere have helped us out here. You see, Ampere have an amazing range of wireless chargers that slip right into your pocket and just stick to your phone. They're completely magnetic. You forget they're there half the time. And before you know it, your phone's fully charged again. So no more stressing on when you're out clubbing. No more worrying about when you need to book a table. No more worrying when you're trying to pick up from Muay. All you have to do is go to ampere.com, use promo code Luca. You get a sweet discount and enjoy endless wireless charging. Bang, welcome back to the #1 podcast in the world. You guys already know what to do. The subscribe button's right there. It's waiting for you to just tap on it, or if you're on your computer, click on it, or if you're on your TV controller, just press it. You know, it's right there. It's right there. It's so convenient. We are here with another banger episode, and on Luca's podcast, we believe that everyone has a story. And one of my close friends, someone who you guys are familiar with, he's been on the podcast before, but he's here for his first solo episode, is here to share his story. He's had an amazing weight transformation. He's had an amazing spiritual transformation. He's had an amazing just transformation as a human being. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Mehmet today. Let's fucking go, Mehmet.
What's happening? How are you, Luca?
Like a pro.
Yeah, getting familiar with the cameras, man.
Yeah, well, you look good on camera, man.
Stop it.
Come on, bro.
Good to be here, man. Thanks for having me back.
It's good to have you, man. I think we've got a lot to talk about today.
We do, man. We do. Yeah, it's looking like a long one. So get ready.
Yeah, get ready. Yeah. Put your seatbelts on. I think we should just get the elephant out of the room straight away, bro. Jon fucking Jones.
I thought you were calling me the elephant. That's why I laughed. All those men call me an elephant.
I mean, hey.
Johnny Bones Jones, yes.
Johnny Bones Jones has gone, and at this point, he has sealed his name as the greatest mixed martial artist of all time.
If he hadn't already, yeah.
I know.
Definitely, yeah.
If there were any doubters out there, Khabib, Volk, GSP, listen, respect to all of those fighters, 110%. They're all elite levels that had their time to shine, and, you know, Volk is still on that wave, but Johnny Bones Jones has done it again.
I mean, there was people doubting him going into this fight, and I understand why. I was one of those doubters.
Really?
Yeah, man. I was like, man, 3 years is a long time to not fight. Going up in weight, like, has he still got it?
Yeah.
I mean, the way he won, I've still got that question: as does he still have it? Can he still hang in there with the heavyweights and go that long distance in the 5 rounds? That question's not answered, but the GOAT debate has been answered. Like,
yeah. Look, I think, you know, when you look at that fight and when you look at what Jones actually showed us in the 2 minutes that the fight was on, his striking didn't look like a general Jon Bones Jones performance.
No, it didn't.
He wasn't slick, he wasn't sharp, but then we only saw like 30 seconds of it anyways. Because as soon as it went to the ground, you're like, oh, wait.
Cyril's got zero ground game.
Zero ground game.
Yeah.
And Jones has been a A-state wrestler for forever, like since the age of 16. And you saw that. You saw that.
And I don't know, man, like, maybe it's been the ring rust. We didn't get to see his striking as it was. Maybe if you gave him a couple more rounds, he would have got into the flow and would have looked nicer. I don't know. I'm just excited for him to fight Stipe next. That's going to be a real challenge. But does he do the same thing to Stipe? Does he just take him to the floor and maul him?
Well, I think so.
I mean, he's being coached by Cejudo, so that makes sense as why he took it to the ground so quickly and got him in that position. Did you see the video of Cejudo drilling that same sequence with him?
No, I haven't.
Man, you should definitely check it out. It's the exact same sequence up against the cage. Wait till he relinquishes the position and then get on top and then get him in the guillotine and finish it there.
Yeah, and
that was the game plan.
Well, I mean, like you see that so many times with fighters where they'll just practice like a certain motion, a certain technique, a certain strategy to win the fight. And then you see it eventuate. I mean, you saw it with Jose Masvidal when he beat Ben Askren. Where he practiced that flying knee. He practiced that flying knee over and over and over again, and then came out with it.
Yeah, he knew he'd come in and duck his head and go for the takedown instantly.
Yeah.
So he saw it coming. You saw it with Leon Edwards drilling the left high kick. You saw it with McGregor drilling the left counter to Aldo.
Yes.
You saw it with so many fighters. And I think that's what the fight game is you analyze your opponent, you watch all that tape, you sit there and pick them apart and then find one thing that you know is their kryptonite.
Yeah, and it was interesting that Jones made reference to that in the presses. And I think he might have even said it, you know, like a couple of days before the fight, that like he's just been watching so much tape. He knew Cyril's game inside and out. He knew his strengths. He knew his weaknesses. He knew that if the fight went to the ground, Cyril has essentially no grappling, no wrestling. And you can get away with that in the heavyweights because most of them just stand and bang anyways.
Exactly.
But you've introduced a profound wrestler into that heavyweight scene now.
One of the best.
Yeah.
Like, look at the way he choked out Lyoto Machida. Lyoto Machida wasn't a... was it Machida or Shogun? Which,
no, it was Machida.
Machida, yeah. Like, it wasn't a joke.
Yeah.
Like, Machida was he was the man, if not one of the best at the time. Guillotined him and dropped him and left him there.
Yeah.
You saw him. Who else did he do it to? Just on the... DC. That's a big one. Like,
he ragdolled DC.
He ragdolled DC.
I think he got 3 takedowns on DC, and DC had like 1 attempt maybe in their second fight.
That's what I mean. Like, he's been doing this time and time again, and I see him doing it to every heavyweight in that division. I don't see anyone coming close.
What
about
Francis?
Francis? I can't talk about that because we'll never know.
You don't think so?
We will never know.
Come on.
Never. I don't think Dana White actually came out and said Francis is never coming back to the UFC.
Hey, he said that?
He said that in a press conference.
No way.
He said he's never coming back to the UFC. So I don't know. Maybe if it's in another promotion, in another lifetime, or
I think Francis comes back.
You think so? I hope he does, man. That's the fight to make.
That is the fight to
make.
Don't get me wrong. Stipe is a great fight, but you want to talk about who is absolutely the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world? You have to beat Francis Ngannou. Do
you?
Yes.
I mean, who did he defend against? Just Gane, right? He defended the belt once and then he left. Didn't really do much.
Okay, but I think it's more so to speak about the fashion in which he does it.
Yeah, he did.
Fashion.
He collected heads. He
collected heads. He was knocking people out left, right, and center in the most devastating fashion. I mean, that Francis Ngannou power is unprecedented.
It's scary. It's an eraser just in his right hand, just waiting to clean out your jaw. Like, who ate it? Jairzinho, Alistair, Stipe on the way to the title. That was it.
Yeah, those were the three famous ones.
Yeah, and then Gane got, both his knees were busted, but Gane got outclassed for 5 rounds. So
essentially got ragdolled.
Yeah, he did. That would be an interesting fight, man. But I still think Jones wins that one.
Yeah, I think the thing with Jones is that he is hittable. Yeah, like he does take risks and he does absorb a lot of damage. You definitely saw that in the later parts of his career. Like he is hittable. And the problem when you're fighting someone like Francis Ngannou is he might miss 10 shots. He might not be the cleanest, most technical striker, but it just takes one.
Just that one.
And it's lights out. It's a very similar fight style to what Deontay Wilder holds. In that, like, you can't slack, you can't miss, you can't take any risks with someone like Francis Ngannou because he will make you pay. But
then Deontay Wilder found his kryptonite in Tyson Fury, yeah.
That is true.
That's a bit of a more technical fighter. Like, Fury gets hit, but he can get back up. He can eat them. So I think it was a good match. And I think Jones is quite similar. I think he can take some shots, he can get back up, or he can stay calm and not get hit. I think he can take either route against Francis. Whereas Francis has let's just hope I catch him. Let's just hope this right hand connects and sends him to sleep. Which is a good game plan for him, but not against Jon Jones, not against the GOAT.
No.
Not against a guy who's been champion for so long and has been there, done that, faced them all. And he's got that ground game in his pocket. Do you really see Ngannou winning that fight?
I mean, I want to find out.
Yeah, I'd love to find out too. But, go into your imagination, La La Land. Do you actually see Ngannou winning with something other than a puncher's chance? Bless you.
I think Francis Ngannou is so physically imposing on his opponents. He's so big. Like, he barely makes heavyweight as it is. He has to cut weight to make sure that he's there. So he's not someone... I mean, like, what we're talking about here is almost like a classic matchup between Volk and Islam, right? It's a very similar situation where you've got someone who's an extremely high-level striker and someone who's an extremely high-level wrestler. Jones being the wrestler, Ngannou being the striker. So it's a very similar situation, obviously not as technical and not as quick, but you're putting those two classes up against each other. And I think we saw from that fight that anything can happen. Like, how good is Francis's takedown defense? How good is he on the ground? How well can he defend these submissions? How well can he do all of those things? These are questions that haven't been answered yet.
How well is his cardio to hold someone's weight on top of him and get back up repeatedly?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Will Jones be... Like, Jones is massive. Jones is strong. He's got a nice dad bod on him now. A ripped dad bod, but a nice dad bod on him now.
Yeah.
And so you have to wonder, how strong is he actually? How much of his own will can he impose on Francis?
Which I think a lot. I think that ground game is enough to get him the... I mean, I don't see Francis lifting Jones and standing back up with ease like Volk did with Islam. I think it's a different level of strength when you get to the heavyweights. I think it's a lot harder to be 260 pounds and push 240 pounds up in a single motion. And I think it's tiring, and especially someone who's muscly like Francis. You know, the guy's massive. So, you know, the lactic acid going through his muscles, the build up and the what's that word? The fatigue. The fatigue that it imposes on you, I think, is a lot more difficult. And I've never seen Francis in that situation. So we can't really say.
Yeah, we can only speculate. Yeah. We can only speculate. But
make it happen. Make Ngannou fight.
Dana White, please. We beg. We beg.
Like, okay, you get like the matchmaking gods kind of came down and gave us a little gift with it, Gane versus Jones. Because, you know, without Ngannou, who else would you want Jones to fight?
Yeah.
It's either Stipe or Gane. So they're giving us this one. They're going to give us Stipe. They're going to try and spoil us, but we want Ngannou, man.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah. And then down the pipeline as well, we've got McGregor Chandler, which is going to be massive.
Bro, the next 6 months for UFC is just insane. The last 6 months have been insane. They're at their peak.
Yeah.
I was speaking about this with a friend. There's not been a bad card in the last 6.
No.
All been blockbuster fights. The upcoming fights, all blockbuster. Like, you've got Fiziev and Gaethje. You've got Holloway and Allen. You've got... What else was there? Next week you've got Merab and Yan. Like, just fight after fight after fight, and it's all fights that you want to tune in on.
Yeah, especially for people that have been paying attention for a very long time. But I think even now, with a lot more casuals joining into the sport and they're just starting to get familiar with their names. I mean, hey, guilty. You know, I've been watching MMA for about 2 years now.
Yeah.
So by no means am I a profound analyst. I'm no Ariel Helwani or anything along that nature, but I do have a deep appreciation for the sport, and I do study it as much as I possibly can.
I think you and I are on the same level. We train together.
We do.
We both watch the same amount of UFC.
Shout out to Hood ATT.
Yeah, best coach in Sydney. Yeah,
fucking love that guy, man. Yeah. Why did you start training MMA in the beginning?
I've always had an interest in the sport. When I was younger, I had a black belt in Taekwondo from Australian Martial Arts Academy. So I've always been interested in combat sports.
How does it feel being a black belt in a sport that essentially has no relevance to MMA today?
I disagree. I don't think Taekwondo is an effective fighting style, but I think what it teaches you about fighting is really, really important. What I found that's given me is, I haven't trained in years, but the footwork is something that I've kept from, training for 4.5 years. The footwork, I think I have a lot better footwork than I would if I didn't have Taekwondo. The hand-eye coordination is really, really important, and kicking power is really natural. And like my calves, so because I did it at a young age, my calves and my quads are super, super developed because of being a kick-heavy youngster.
Of course,
actually develops a lot of muscles in your quads and calves. So really beneficial. Would I use it in a street fight? No. No, I would not try to spin kick someone in the face in a street. If I could, I definitely would.
Well, the thing is, if you pulled it off.
If you pulled it off, it looks fucking incredible. But, it's not worth the risk to pull it off in a self-defense environment. So I do agree with you saying it's a useless fighting style, but it's not useless to learn.
Look, I say useless playfully. I think, if we didn't have Muay Thai and if we didn't have traditional kickboxing, then you would look at Taekwondo as the most effective striking, especially for kicks.
Correct.
Right? The problem is that there are other there are other disciplines that you can learn, and there are ones that are more fight relevant. I think in particular Muay Thai. I mean, Muay Thai, these guys are just fucking animals. I've been watching a lot of Muay Thai Technician on Instagram. I don't know if you know who he is.
Is that the guy that was on this, or is that someone else?
No. That's Teep Muay Thai. He's more like a meme entertainer.
Yeah, I like him. I like this guy.
No, Muay Thai Fight Technician. Actually, Sound, could you pull him up on the laptop? I'll show you. I think he's a WBC title holder at the moment, and he does a lot of like technical breakdowns of Muay Thai, and it is the most educational, most entertaining, most interesting form of Muay Thai content that I've ever come across. Because Muay Thai is it's a very protected and very founded discipline. You know, it's kind of like jiu-jitsu in the sense that this is the way things work, and you can evolve and you can have your own styles, but this is what Muay Thai looks like. And it's very traditional, and it's very grounded in that like Thai tradition, and it goes back centuries and centuries and centuries. And he plays a lot of respect to that, but also pushes the leading edge of what new techniques, what new manners in winning are going to be effective. And he has these just excellent breakdowns, very high quality content. And I think, you know, when it comes to Muay Thai fighters, they tend to be the tougher, more durable athletes because they're just getting elbowed in the head from the age of 6.
Their shins as well, like the shin strength they have to not feel those kicks. Like I'm sure everyone's seen Muay Thai fighters kicking poles and trees, and like it's crazy to have that many dead nerves. I think Wonderboy was also teaching, you know, Wonderboy Thompson.
Of course.
He was teaching a lot of people how to actually kill the nerves in your shins, but
he was?
Without having to kick a pole or a tree. Was, you know, you just get a wet towel and just rub it up and down your shins, just a piece of wood, and just like kind of tap at it.
Yeah.
Just like long-term solutions to an extreme.
Yeah. Well, I think when it comes to that is a lot of people that start later in their Muay Thai journey, let's call it, aren't like are trying to play catch up. And I think from what I've heard anyways, the most effective way to really do it is just on the heavy bag. Just get those reps in, and eventually you will develop that dominant shin. I mean, I've been kicked by Muay Thai guys before, and it is not fun, man. It's like a baseball bat to the leg.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah.
And then you find fighters that are so dominant at it, and you find fighters that just use that skill all of the time.
Justin Gaethje comes to mind.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he can. Jose Aldo.
Yes.
Who else was there? Edson Barboza. Yeah, it's an effective, because it's hard to counter, but the danger there is when it is countered, it's painful for both of you.
Yeah.
It's painful for both parties.
Yeah.
Like you can break, how many leg breaks has there been from leg kick checks?
I think like in recent MMA history, there've been at least 3.
Chris Weidman. McGregor.
And there was one more.
Anderson Silva.
Did Anderson Silva break his leg checking a leg kick?
Or kicking a leg. Or kicking a chick leg kick, yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and those are nasty breaks, man.
They're literally the biggest bone, second biggest bone in your leg snapping in half.
And like there's nothing you can do.
Nothing you can do until you've stepped on it and snapped it even more. That's the kicker. Like the kicker is like the joke is you kick it and it breaks.
Yeah.
And then you step on it and it breaks even more because you're
I mean, the Weidman one was insane. His leg was pointing in the other fucking direction. It was, I couldn't watch that one.
No, the McGregor one was crazy too. Because I think Dustin Poirier was right when he kicked him. He did crack it.
Yeah.
And then would have stepped on it, and but it worked out well for him. He got to do steroids. so I think that was a blessing.
You know, I recently like fallen in love with McGregor again. Like I have such mixed opinions on him. On one hand, I think he's so entertaining and he's so bold. On the other hand, I'm like, you know, you're using your weight and pushing yourself around so that you can get your fighters on The Ultimate Fighter, and you've been away from the sport for all these years, and you've been on steroids, and you lost to Dustin Poirier. Like, there's just so many criticisms that you can make of him. But I was watching the press conferences between him and Jose Aldo at like 2 a.m. on a Wednesday night, and I was like reminded, oh man, this is why we love him. He is so good on a microphone. He's the best ever.
I call him the GOAT of the UFC, not the GOAT of MMA.
Right.
Jon Jones the GOAT of MMA. Conor McGregor is the GOAT of the UFC. He's the best thing to ever happen to that company.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I still love him. Like he's an idiot. He gets a lot of hate. Punches old men in pubs. Like he has that crazy lifestyle, but I just love his personality.
Well, I think this is what people forget, is that in order to become a mixed martial artist, you kind of have to be a little...
You gotta have a few screws loose.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, like you and I train it. Okay, like let's be real. We train it. Would you ever step into a ring?
This is a tough question. Who wants the smoke?
Call him out right now.
No, I don't have a hit list or anything like that in mind, but I'm not closed off to the idea.
You're not closed off to the idea. See, I'm completely closed off to the idea.
You would never go.
I would never step in a ring.
Right.
Like I will happily admit that I will spar, I will train, I will fight if I need to, but I will not step in a ring because I don't think I have the kind of like a Uriah Hall feeling. I don't know if you know Uriah Hall. He retired from martial arts because he just couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't do that. I can't knock someone out.
Wasn't Uriah Hall on The Ultimate Fighter against McGregor?
He was. Yeah, he was.
That experience alone probably made him quit.
Made him hate martial arts. But his thing was, like, I can't knock someone out and not feel guilty and have that on my conscience. And I think I'm kind of the same where I can't step in a ring knowingly go to war with someone. It's not my. I don't have it in me.
You don't want to be in there.
I don't want to be in. I don't have it in me. I could happily put the gloves on and spar with someone. Like that's fine. But to be put in an environment where you have to, that's what MMA is. You have to fight till the death. Your objective is to kill it's not to kill the other person, but to hit them until they can't move anymore. Hit them till they can't fight back anymore. I don't have that in me.
Oh, see, that gives me goosebumps.
And I respect people that do so much because people don't understand how hard it is and how scary it is and how nerve-wracking it is. Like till this day, you get fighters with 40 fights on their belt saying, man, I'm nervous. Like, you know, I'm scared. Like, and I'm happy that fighters are coming out and admitting it now because it's okay, man. Like I understand it's a scary thing and not a lot of people can do that.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think I just want the experience. Like I'm definitely not, I don't have on the cards to go and become a professional fighter and go fight in the UFC or whatever. But like, you know, if it made sense, like.
Oh, like if it was like another person at the same level as you just wanted to.
Exactly. And we could make like an exhibition out of it. And I don't want to say like a Jake Paul boxing event, but something in that nature, then yeah, for sure.
Urban Fight Night. Are you listening? You got a contender.
I don't have enough TikTok followers yet, man.
We'll get you there. The fight will get you there.
Yeah, true. But no, it would definitely be interesting. And, you know, I'm not scared of getting choked out. I'm not scared of getting knocked out. Would you be scared of getting knocked out?
I've been choked out. I've been knocked out.
Really? You've been knocked out? When did you get knocked out?
In Taekwondo, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in Taekwondo. I had a clean question mark kick to the head and I was out.
Ooh.
Yeah. And
what was it like getting knocked out?
It's a flash, man. Like it's just like everyone describes it. It's actually pretty accurate when people say it's, you know, you see a flash, you feel like an electric shock go through your body in a sense, and then all of a sudden you're coming to consciousness and you're waking up and people are around you and you have no idea what happened. You've been choked out before, like I've seen that. It's kind of the same feeling as getting choked out when you're coming back to your senses, but with a lot more of a headache.
Right, yeah.
And a lot more of like a vision impairment.
Yeah.
It's really bad actually. I wouldn't recommend it. Wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, seeing choked out is like, you know you're in danger, but at the same time, like there's almost a relaxation effect that comes with it because you're literally getting put to sleep. Like that's the best way of describing it. Whereas I think having that shock of like a shin to the head and then you're just out. Yeah,
like that's the way it was. Like I remember I think it was like right here at the top of the temple. It went through my helmet and just connected there, and I folded like a chair. Like my mum's still got the video.
Yeah,
I crumpled like a chair and.
You know we need this video, right?
I'll ask my mum if she has it. But yeah, I crumpled like a chair and I didn't like get like flat face knocked out, but like I was like on my knees and I remember like feeling the ground and then just like kind of falling back and just letting it like take me. Because I tried to fight it, but I was like, no, just go, man. And then I woke up like 30 seconds later, doctors around me doing the concussion test, the standard, but it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But wouldn't recommend it. Wouldn't do it again.
Just a good story to tell.
Yeah, wouldn't do it again. And I'm knocking someone out in Taekwondo before I was on. It's a bad feeling, man.
Yeah.
Like, it's a scary feeling. Like, you know, waiting for him to wake up, waiting to see if he's okay, checking on him, and they don't let you go near him. It's like, it's a scary, like, couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So when people do say Taekwondo is like a pussy sport, it's not, man. I've seen the brutality of it. It can get pretty scary and dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, it's in boxing as well. Like when those fighters get knocked out, like I feel like that's even more vicious because it is just blows to the head. Exactly. Like that's like the volume of punches that they're taking.
And sometimes when they get knocked out, they can stand back up and go get more.
Right? The 10 count?
Yeah.
That's fucking wild.
It's so stupid.
Like you know, like sometimes they give them like fucking salts and shit to like wake them up. Like, have you seen that before?
I've seen that, yeah.
They give you like these fucking
salts, ammonium, and like make them sniff stuff to like get them back into the game. I think I think that's why boxing has a lot of CTE and a lot of paraplegics and a lot of people that are just suffering from it.
Yeah, no, but those salts are weird, right? Because they give them like, what the fuck are in those things that like wake you?
Do you know what's in it?
I have no idea.
No, I used to use something similar in the gym, which was ammonia, which is like kind of like jungle juice in a sense, where it just gives you like a little energy buzz, but it's only like 10, 15 seconds.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
All right, so you're familiar with it.
Familiar with it, yeah, definitely.
Oh, so like you would do it now, like if we had it in studio. Like, would you smell selling salts right now?
No, not right now.
Oh, really? Are you sure? I mean, because like, I've got this thing lying around. Come on, bro.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, come on, bro.
Okay, if you've got it, then
you folded pretty
the
quickly.
crackhead in me is like, I'm interested now because I've had ammonia, but I've never had that.
Yeah, this is Insanity Stack.
Okay.
No fillers, 100% pure ammonium chloride, sodium carbonate complex.
That sounds dangerous. That doesn't sound like something that belongs in my nose.
Come on, bro.
You go first.
Oh, you want me to go first?
If you go,
I'll fucking do it. I don't care. All right.
So what's this supposed to do?
Wake you up if you feel unconscious.
Okay.
But I've seen people do this.
Like
online.
my training partner gave me something similar once, but it was like before a deadlift, like, here, try this.
Yeah.
And it was like, woo! That's what it was. I don't know if it's the same thing.
This is pretty intense shit.
Okay.
Oh, fuck.
Welcome to Luca's. These are not legal, right?
No, these are legal.
Oh, these are
this on
okay.
Amazon.
Welcome to Luca's podcast. This is fully legal. What we're about to do. Don't try it at home.
Don't try this at home. We're going to do smelling salts live on Luca's podcast.
Do you have to how close do you get?
Holy shit. Oh my God, that is strong. Bro.
You want to sniff that?
Yeah, let's fucking go, man. Oh my God.
Oh,
Come on, bitch.
it doesn't even look like.
Get in there, bro.
Okay, how close do I get? Like here?
Get right fucking in there.
Okay.
And give a big old whiff. Yeah, give it a whiff, bro. Come on. What the fuck?
Should I go again?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh! Take two. Whoa! What the fuck?
Oh my God.
That's.
It gets right up in there, doesn't it?
Oh, that's intrusive, man.
I feel like that just went straight down my throat.
Let's go.
What do you want to lift?
Whoa, man. Okay, that's different.
I've got more energy now, but.
Do you? I don't.
No?
I just feel like I got violated. Okay.
This is a freshie as well. We bought this today. So this is like.
Is this what Krista Stefano is? Okay, I don't know what I'm talking about.
That's all right. You're a bit shook.
No, the first one, like, I smelt it and didn't get any feeling.
That's weird. I've never seen that before.
Yeah, no, I didn't get.
I've done this with like 50 other people.
Oh, have you?
Just mucking around at work and stuff.
Okay.
And everyone has like this fucking like want to vomit reaction. And then I was like, there's no way the one time we do this on camera
and nothing happens. No, I definitely think I didn't sniff properly. I think I had a cloggage or something. Wow, okay.
We're going to take a hard turn here.
Yeah,
so bear with us, guys. We're just trying to compose ourselves again.
I'm good. I'm okay now.
So you've gone on this crazy weight loss journey.
I have indeed.
And you have made a commitment to yourself to better your health, to find yourself in the gym more often, to make a big commitment to not only improving your physical health, but your mental health as well. So where were you when you first made that decision?
I was driving home from a retail job that I had at the time. I put my seatbelt on that day. I remember I got in the car, put my seatbelt on, and I noticed that the seatbelt went out all the way when I clipped it on. It was always the case, but the first time I just paid attention and I said, the seatbelt comes all the way when I clip it on. It's never happened. I never noticed it before. And then that's when I started, kind of becoming conscious of what I looked like and how I felt. I'd walk 5-10 meters and get severe back pain. I would sweat profusely with no reason to sweat. My breathing was very, very regulated. I'd snore while being awake. It was a few things adding up, but the seatbelt coming out all the way and clipping in and not going back kind of made me realize, what the hell, man? Then I was driving home and then I noticed that I don't have a lap to put, you know, when you're driving, sometimes, you know, you put your phone in your lap, you put like your vape in your lap or your keys or whatever. Don't have a lap. This whole space was occupied by stomach. It was the little things that I noticed about other people that I didn't, you know, kind of have, like the ability to turn your neck and look backwards. I didn't have that. I had to, you know, like I had to like move the whole body. I couldn't just turn my neck and look backwards. The ability to go down and tie my shoelaces. I could never tie my shoelaces. I had to take the shoe off, lift the shoe up, tie it, and then put it back on.
Wow.
I couldn't, you know, a lot of things were inhibited. When I never flew back then, but I know for a fact that if I did fly, I'd need a seatbelt extension for the airplane belt, for the seatbelt. My seat in my car, I've got short legs naturally. I had to push my seat all the way back just so my stomach could fit and not bump the steering wheel while I drove. So I was like stuck kind of like driving with my toes because I was, you know, pretty far back and my legs couldn't reach the pedals. A lot of things that in my life that just I kind of becoming aware of and conscious of. And then
how did you get to that? Like, how did you get to the point where you were so negligent to your own health and your own needs that you were in that state?
Yeah. So I told you I have a black belt in Taekwondo. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't always that way. I was a football player. I played at a pretty high level. I did Taekwondo on the side, ended up loving it. So did that full time as well. I was all about sports. And then when I was 17, I blew out 2 ACLs on right knee, left knee.
Jesus.
In the same event.
How did you do that?
It was a it was a tackle. Me and the keeper went out for a contention, came down together, keeper landed on me, both my knees hyperextended backwards, snapped ACLs in both knees.
No.
Yeah. But I can't blame that because I recovered from that. I gained a little bit of weight, a little bit of injury weight, but I recovered from it within a year and a half. And I was, you know, after the injury, I was okay. Went from 67 kilos to about 75, 80, around there, I want to say. So I was still okay. But what happened was I spent a year and a half being away from sport that I never really went back to sport after I healed. I just like, oh, my knees are bung. What am I going to do? It's pretty useless. And so I just went to the back of the mind. And then, you know, at that age, a lot of things become habit. Marijuana became a habit. You know, the munchies became a habit. Being lazy became a habit. And just habits that I never broke out of for all those years just accumulated. And then I started working in a kebab shop. Was always around the kebabs. Con, I'm sorry, but it's kind of your fault. So just stopped being mindful of calories, stopped being mindful of health. And it just got to the point where I was gaining so much weight. And then I'd look and I'd be like, yeah, I'm gaining weight, but I never weigh myself. That was the mental block. Was after 100 kilos, I stopped checking. The way I knew I gained weight was by noticing clothes had gone tighter on me, and then I had to go buy new ones. But I was like, Mom, why are you washing my clothes? Why are you drying them? They're shrinking. But I weren't shrinking. I was growing. So it was just accumulating. And
at this point, did you have anyone there that would like keep you accountable and say to you like, oh, Mehmet, like what's going on? You're putting on weight.
I had my friends. My friends, they were always scared to touch on that subject. My friends would, you know, they'd mention it. They'd be like, man, like you're getting a bit pudgy. What's going on there? But I was obviously a very sensitive person. So, you know, in fear of a reaction, I think they didn't really press on it. You know, my friends, they go to the gym a lot. So they'd always invite me, but I'd never go, never respond. I'd never wanted a bar of it. So they tried to do those small things like come to the gym with us, or like, you know, we're dieting. Do you want to join in like on this diet that we're doing? I was never having it. One of my very, very, very close friends one day said to me, Mehmet, I'm kind of worried about you. And I said, why? And she said to me, you're getting black spots on the back of your hands and around your eyes and between your wrists. It's a sign of diabetes. This was December 2019. She mentioned this to me and I looked at it and it was true. Like I had all these black spots between my knuckles, all here, like just these random black spots that I couldn't explain why. Looking into it, it was diabetes. And she said to me, she's like, I'm worried. Like, you know, if you know, being big is one thing, that's fine. Like I'm not going to body shame you, but getting diabetes is pretty major. So yeah, that was kind of like a bit of a daunting moment, but
which is kind of ironic because like they go hand in hand.
What do you know? Like
diabetes and being overweight?
Yeah,
like it's just I notice socially a lot of people are scared to confront that kind of thing, and I have no shame in doing it at all. Like, getting fat, getting overweight is unhealthy. It is extremely dangerous, and anyone that tries to argue against that is lying. And that's why I asked, like, did you have friends that pointed that out to you? Because I understand it is really uncomfortable and awkward position to put yourself in, but you need people around you that call you out on your shit.
Yep, you do.
You need people to go, hey, Mehmet, like, you're getting fat, man. You're smoking weed all the time. You're eating in a kebab shop, and you're not taking care of yourself. I'm worried about you. Like, you have to do something about this. And thank God that friend came through for you, because it's hard. I get it's really fucking hard to have that conversation with people, but you do have to do it.
You do, man. You do, especially if you care about that person. If you care about that person, like if I'm out with someone and they're a friend and they kind of smell a bit funny from the breath or I'd tell them. Yeah. Like, if I go out and I stink, I'd want my friends to tell me. Kind of the same thing. Like, if you're gaining weight, you got to tell your friends. Like, if your friend's neglecting their health, you have to get involved. It's like, it's your duty. Like, what else are you friends for? What else are you in their life for? You're there to benefit each other. And unfortunately, this is one of the things where you have to step in, is when the other person's not seeing the damage that they're doing to themselves.
Yeah, and people have just gone the other way with it.
Yeah.
They've gone like, oh, look at her. She's 300 kilos overweight. She's beautiful. Let's put her on the cover of every magazine. It's like,
like, I understand not everyone can do something about their weight. Actually, that's a lie. Everyone can. Yeah, that's a lie. I understand some people get big from external factors, but there's never an excuse.
No.
Never.
No. We're a species designed for physical activity, and I get there's disabilities, I get there's things that prevent people or slow them down from losing weight, but it's what do you put in your body? You can start as simple as that.
Do you know walking is a physical activity? You know, if you're mobile, rolling on a wheelchair is physical activity. People mistake physical activity. They think physical activity is, I got to go to the gym, I got to go run on a treadmill, I got to go lift some weights. No, you don't. Go outside. Go enjoy the sun. That's physical activity. That's all the physical activity a lot of us need, is that 10,000 to 15,000 steps a day, the sunlight, and good food. That's all some people need. But most people don't even understand that, because they think, oh, no, that's not going to do much for me. But it is. It's a good place to start.
You know, I think I heard this expression used recently that we are just a bunch of dopamine junkies. We're addicted to dopamine. We've got it on social media. We've got it in our food. We've got it in our drinks. We've got it everywhere you look around. You can find dopamine in some shape or form. Fucking vapes are the perfect example of that. You're fucking feeling low about something. Oh, here's fruit punch. Here's cherry ice. You know, and I'll be completely honest. The reason I know that is because I do vape, and I understand like my own psychology as to what's going on there and why I'm doing it. It's been proven that talking about an idea or talking about something that you want to do gives you the same dopamine release as actually going and doing the thing.
Spot on.
So people can go and say, oh, I'm going to start the gym and get this bang, 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 all this dopamine coming out. And it's the exact same feeling that they would get if they went to the gym, except they don't have to do any of the work.
Exactly. That's spot on with that. A lot of people will sit there and say, oh, I want to do my e-commerce business, or I want to start drop shipping. Never happens, because they've spoken about it so much that they've already spike those dopamine receptors to the point where they're satisfied.
Yeah.
So then when it's time to start doing the work, you've got too much dopamine, or you're imbalanced and you don't have the motivation or the drive.
Or when you go and start the thing, you realize how much work it's going to take.
Exactly.
That dopamine falls off, and then you're like, nah.
Yeah. And then it just falls to the back of the mind and gets put in line.
A month goes past, a year goes past, and then someone goes to you, hey, whatever happened to that thing?
Oh, it's happened to me, man. I've had so many ideas.
Well, I would absolutely guarantee that it did happen to you, because how many times did you lie to yourself? How many times did you say, oh, next week I'm going to lose the weight. Next week I'm going to do something.
Never tried. Like, to be 100% frank with you, I can not sit here and tell you I ever tried before that first attempt. I never, like, obviously I'd have times where I go to the gym once or twice, but I never like had like a week of like being focused and clean eating and trying to lose the weight. I never tried any diets. Like, obviously, you have those moments where you're like, let me give it a shot, but I never really sat there and said, I am going to stick to this. This is what I'm doing. Never put it in my head. until that dawning moment that I had that day, June 2020, driving home from work. Never actually sat there and tried it. So,
did you have desire beforehand? Like, did you have a yearning to get a 6-pack? To
nothing. I had no desire. I was just so focused on living day to day, and where's my food going to come from? Where's my weed going to come from? That's all I could think about most of the time. When am I going to go out? When am I going to go home? Just that kind of thing. Like, wake up. What's the day looking like? When am I going to get high? When am I going to eat my meals? That's all I thought about back then.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you try and put your seatbelt on. You realize you're running out of seatbelt.
Yeah.
You're spilling out of your car.
Yeah.
And then what?
I realized I was spilling out of my car. I realized that I wasn't comfortable, and that short 7-minute drive turned into a 30-minute drive, turned into an hour drive. So in total, I think I was driving for about 2 hours, just deep in thought, just in a trance almost, where I was like thinking about everything. No music, it was cold, so the windows were up, no heater, like just me and my thoughts, which was pretty dangerous because I wasn't conscious that I was driving. I was just in a trance-like state. And all these dark feelings were just coming to the surface, and for the first time, I gave myself a chance to feel those emotions instead of hiding those emotions behind food and behind drugs. So actually feeling them allowed me to acknowledge them.
What did you feel?
Disappointed, like just pure disappointment and shame and disgust and just like I imagined my young self looking at me then and saying like, what happened to us? Like, we had so much potential, man. Like, what did you do? That's the conversation I was having. It was psychedelic almost, where I was like, what did you do to yourself, man? Like, what are you gonna think in 5 years? Like, you die from a heart attack and there goes your life. For what? Like, honestly, for what for? Like, what did you, to eat food and have a good night? Like, to be comfortable and run away from your problems? Like, what are you running from? You don't have any problems. Everything's good. You have friends, you have family. You just don't have health, and that's your fault. That's the conversation I was speaking to myself from a childhood perspective. And people underestimate the power of their childhood.
That's pretty wild, man.
Yeah. People underestimate the power of their childhood on their current state. And the fact that the childhood version of me was speaking to me through my mind, like, it gives me goosebumps to this day, the fact that it happened. But at the end of that conversation, I went home. I still remember. I walked into my room, same usual routine, but instead of going for the billy, I went for the desk, and I sat down and I continued that conversation all night. And then I went to sleep that night, and when I woke up the next day, I took that photo that I showed you in the mirror.
Right here.
Yeah. And never looked back. Didn't tell anyone what I was going to do. Didn't tell anyone my plan. Didn't speak to anyone about what I'd felt. Didn't speak to anyone about the experience I had. Didn't document anything. I just went straight into it and went through and followed the plan, and here I am now.
And so what was day one of the new Mehmet? Like, what did you do?
Just a lifestyle change, man. Like, honestly, like, it was just a mindset shift. I think the mindset, I could have seen and tell you exactly what it was like day to day, because I don't remember.
Okay.
Like I said, it was a trance-like state. I don't remember, but I remember taking the steps that I needed to take.
But like, did you sign up to a gym?
I was always signed up to a gym.
Okay.
I didn't start going gym till I lost about 30 to 40 kilos.
Oh, okay.
The first 30 to 40 was just less calories and walking outside. That's all it was. And just every day, until I got to a point where I approached one of my friends, Josh, I love you. And I said, hey man, can you take me to the gym with you? Took me to the gym, trained with him, learned what I needed to learn in a couple of weeks, took those learnings on my own, and then started training on my own. And then the gym became a routine, and then it started getting to the point where if I didn't go to the gym, I would have, had a bad day, and it just became
Was
new.
it like tough to get into the gym? Like, did you feel like insecurity?
I felt insecurity within myself, but I never thought anyone else was judging me.
Right.
Because I knew the gym community to be very, very welcoming and loving. And anyone that at home that kind of struggles and thinks that they're going to be judged, you are definitely not going to be judged. You're earning more respect points. Like, I made so many friends because people would notice me there every day, notice the changes that I was making, and actually approach me. The gym owner approached me and said, man, like, well done. Like, it's been so incredible to see you grow. Like, overall,
shrink.
sorry?
Or shrink.
Shrink is a better word. Yeah, like you make so many friends that way, man. And I think the gym community is very, very wholesome, contrary to popular belief.
Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive to what you'd think, because you'd think if you put a whole bunch of athletes into a room and then they're going to make fun of the guy, or they're going to try and push him down, or like cut his legs from underneath him. But usually it's the complete opposite effect. It's actually like, oh wow, like it's harder for this guy right now who's got all this excess weight and who has all this emotional damage to rock up. So if I don't rock up and I don't train hard, that's on me, because he's doing it and it's 10 times harder for him.
Exactly, man. Exactly. So they respect it. They understand. So anyone that wants to get into the gym, like, I'd recommend it. Just go. Just don't even think about it. Don't even hesitate. Don't even think that there's obnoxious people there, because there's not. No one cares about what you're doing. At the end of the day, no one gives a fuck. Like, you can continue your workout and you will not exist in anyone's life unless you're using the machine that they want to use. That's the only time that anyone ever talks to you, right?
Yeah.
But no, they're very wholesome. And if you need help, people will actually approach you and help you. I got helped so many times. Like, I was trying to learn how to deadlift, and one guy saw me there every day for like 2 weeks and then just decided to approach me and say, hey man, like, do you need any help? Like, very wholesome community. Even I try to pay it forward now. Like, when I see people struggling, I try to help in a nice way. Be like, hey man, like, you know, you're doing this, but I kind of noticed that was wrong. Have you tried this instead? Or, you know, man, like, I noticed the guy struggling on bench press. And one kind of trick that I know is to have a more effective bench press. It's actually pretty good to warm up your lats beforehand so that it's easier for you to tense your scapula. Not everyone knows that. So when I see someone struggling on bench, I just go, hey man, did you know if you warm up your lats, you know, your benching becomes more efficient? I don't know if it's true. I think it's true. I've heard it a lot.
No, it makes sense.
Makes sense, right? Yeah. So passing that information forward, that's what the gym's all about.
Yeah. And so how big were you when you first decided to make this decision? Like, how much did you weigh?
157.4 kilograms. Yeah.
That's a lot of weight, man.
It's a lot of kilograms. Yeah.
What was it like that first time you like weighed yourself under 100?
First time, it was beautiful, man. It was so good. Like, I'm getting emotional thinking about it, because it was such a big moment for me, where I was like, man, you done it. Like, your normal people weight. Because I had that benchmark like under 100 kilos, your normal people weight. You're not considered too big for an elevator or too big for a chairlift, or, you know, there's no restrictions on you. So that first day, I remember the day before I was 101.3, and then I weighed myself the next morning and I saw 99.9. Wow. And it was just, and I think it was a lot of water weight that had dropped that overnight and things that happened, but it was such a relieving feeling. Like I'd feel like I'd finished. Like, I'd feel like I'd made it to where I wanted to be, but not quite. Like, you know, obviously not finished yet. You know, like, now I'm 84, so I've come a long way since then as well. But it was such a grind to get to that, like, to get and see that 99, because, you know, from 100 to 130, 157 to 130 was really easy. From 130 to like 110 was moderate. From 110 to getting to under 100 was grueling. Like, it was like, maybe I did it to myself, but I had to work out a lot more. I felt like I had to go do double sessions, and I felt like I had to run more. I don't know how effective all of that was to get me to that last 10 kilos.
It all adds up, man.
It all adds up. You know, I was eating a lot less, drinking a lot more water. And then at one point I cut the water. I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going to cut water weight. Like, I just got to get under 100. Like, that's the goal. Like,
you're in there with Luke Tyson in the sauna, like, oh, just sweat it out, man.
What are you prepping for? I got to weigh myself, man.
You got a fight coming up?
You could say that. Yeah. So I grilled myself and grinded for that last 10 to get to under 100. And then, it was best day of my life.
Yeah.
No, not best day, but like, really good. It's up there. 3 moments.
Yeah, that would have just been like psychologically.
I cried.
Yeah,
I cried. I'm admitting it now. Men cry. I cried.
No, and rightly so, man, because it's the physical transformation for sure. But you reaped a lot of those rewards already. You would have felt lighter. You would have felt stronger. You would have had more energy. So we're not talking about those things now. We're talking about like that symbolic moment of, like, I did it. I set myself out to accomplish this goal, and I did it. I did the thing.
But The crazy thing is I didn't feel like I'd accomplished anything, because for me it was, I'm just being me. I'm just living my day to day. You know, I'm not doing anything out of the ordinary. This is just a bonus. This is just a reward for my efforts, is all I saw it as.
Yeah. And how did the people around you react?
So good.
Yeah.
So like helpful, and you know, everyone was there for me, all my friends, my family, like everyone was such a good support. I had such a good support network that I'm so grateful for. Like, you know me, I'm more of a solo person. I prefer to be alone in a lot of senses, whether I'm traveling, going somewhere, eating. I prefer my own solitude. But I had moments during that time period where I did not feel like, I felt like stopping. I didn't feel like I was going to get to where I wanted to get to. I, you know, had a lot of mental blocks, and the people around me were just important. Not in a sense where I had to come out and speak to them, just in a sense of like being there for me, you know, hanging out with me, or like offering those words of support. I'm so proud of you. Like, oh my God, man, look at you. Like, you're looking so good. Like, just the compliments and the little nice things that people do for you. Like, oh, hey man, you lost a lot of weight. Here's a shirt that I bought. It's in XL instead of 3XL. I think you'll like it. Like, my friends started doing that because, you know, I love dressing nice, but could never dress nice because I didn't have the body for it. And my friend Josh actually he knew I wanted to wear a button up, but could never find one that fit. And when I had the body to fit in one, he actually bought me my first button up and said, try it on. And we tried it on, and it looked really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And were you doing like a lot more like household meals?
I learned how to cook, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I learned how to cook during that phase. I'll share some recipes with you guys, but no, I learned how to cook on my own at home. I just found it a better alternative. Like, you know, I know exactly what I'm eating. I know exactly what's going into my food, and, you know, I can eat it because it's made by me to my taste and to my liking.
Yeah.
So a lot of home cooked meals by me, sometimes by mum. I'd go out and eat. I never actually restrained myself from going out and eating either. I think it's a big part of life. You should be going out and eating. And one of my friends is a personal trainer, says the same thing. Like, if you're going to go out and eat, go enjoy yourself, but, you know, track it, measure it. Like, when you put petrol in your car, you're not just putting petrol in your car you're looking at how much you're spending. I think you should treat your calories and your diet in the same way as petrol. Like, look at how much you're taking in versus how much you're putting out, and make an educated choice according to that. You know, if your petrol is 60 litre limit, you're not going to go filling up 70 litres. You got to fill up that 60 litres.
Yeah.
Then you got to, if you're on a budget, you got to drive carefully and measure it out until the next time you're able to fill up petrol again. That's the kind of analogy that I use.
Were there any like thought leaders or any books that you read or podcasts that you listened to that like helped you? Because I can imagine the emotional toll that having that kind of weight would have had. And I can imagine that you would have needed some kind of leadership or guidance during that time as
man.
well.
Good question. Great question.
Thank
Not a lot of people ask. You're the first person to ask me that. I think learning is a big part of what helped me. I used a lot of James Smith. James Smith's books were really
great.
Oh, he's the best.
Yeah.
He's absolutely like, I will not listen to another personal trainer ever again in my life, knowing that he exists, because he's so honest and so raw and tells you the truth. He's got no reason to bullshit you. He's just selling you a book, not a product or a service, just a book. So James Smith was number one. Andrew Huberman was number two for me. He was up there. And
another excellent choice.
Mate, like gold, like actual gold, his podcast.
Yeah.
Do you listen to them?
Of course.
Yeah.
I've listened to the nicotine one 3 times. I still can't fucking kick it.
I listened to that. He made an ADHD one that kind of, I have really bad ADHD, so he kind of helps me manage that. But also when it comes to health and exercise and training the mind, he's really good. Diren is really good as well. James Smith's friend, Diren Cardell.
Diren Cardell is
really good. And everything else was just YouTube. Athlete X.
Yes.
Like the standard YouTube stuff as well really helped. But it's all about self-education. It was also like, I've got a lot of knowledge about fitness, about the human anatomy, about calories and how the body works and how insulin works. All of that just came from me reading and doing my own research.
What surprised you the most? Like, what did you learn that you're like, wait, what the fuck?
It's so simple, of how simple it was. Like, all these people that are intermittent fasting and doing keto and all these diets, like, I understand that if it helps you reach a calorie deficit, then by all means go ahead, but you're not doing anything different. You're not giving yourself any benefits or brain boosters or aftermarket shock absorbers or anything like that. You're literally just putting yourself in a calorie deficit. That's all it is. learning that it's just a calorie deficit and nothing less and nothing more.
Yeah.
And it's impossible for someone to eat in a calorie deficit and not lose weight. That surprised me. And I know it seems kind of like just out there and something plain that everyone should know, but not a lot of people know that.
I think the problem is, right, because we do live in such a dopamine hungry and dopamine craving society that we don't want to go through anything that takes away from our ability to gain pleasure, right? So going for a run is hard. Going to lift weights is hard. Not eating the food that you want to eat is hard, but you have to do it. You have to do it. There's no other way of evolving as a human being. There's no other way of becoming a better person, losing weight, holding yourself more accountable. All of those things that everyone wants, there's only one way to do it. It's the shittiest part about being a human being, but these fads, come buy my pill and we're going to help you lose 20 kilos in 1 week. Look at Jackie O over here. She lost all this weight and then immediately puts it all back on. That's the part that they don't tell you about, is that there's ways of hacking your body. There's ways of tricking your system into deleting a lot of its muscle mass and a lot of its cartilage and a lot of its tendons to lose weight. But then you're going to be more prone to injury. You're going to be more prone to being sick. Your immune system's going to be malfunctioning. Human beings have evolved in a specific way to make sure that we are active and that we are moving and that we are mobile. And if you respect those systems and if you use your body in the way that it was meant to be used, then there is absolutely no way that you won't lose weight.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. And I pray for a day where people realize that all these health companies and all these supplement companies are just selling you a dream. Literally just selling you a dream. There is no such thing as a magic weight loss pill. Taking Duramine won't help you. Taking all these different, it's a fat burner, or I take this or I take that. None of that's going to help you if you're not eating at a calorie deficit. If you are eating at a calorie deficit, you're going to think it's helping you because I'm eating, I'm taking this pill and it's helping me lose weight. No, it's not. You're eating 2,300 calories. That's why you're losing weight. Yeah. People just overcomplicating something that's actually very, very, very simple.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's a market. It's an industry.
It's money there.
You can go on TikTok and say, hey, take this right now and you're going to lose all this weight. Here's the link in my bio. And that person's on 20% commission to sell you fucking elephant shit.
Exactly. And it works the same with diseases. Like I have someone that I know that has a blood type disease that doesn't let her lose weight. Disease, I say. It's a sickness or whatever it is. And she goes on TikTok all the time and she sees all these people promoting this supplement. Obviously, the algorithm's quite smart. It knows that she's got this disease. And there's people saying, buy this pill and this will magically get rid of the such and such disease. Like, buy this supplement and it'll help you manage that disease. But really, that disease can only be managed through weight loss.
Wait, so she has a disease that doesn't let her lose weight?
She's got a disease that causes her to gain weight, causes her to gain weight severely. Not sure if it's a disease or like a
condition. Let's call it
a condition. And all these companies are just selling supplements to alleviate that condition when really you just need to be in a calorie deficit and exercising.
Right. So for her, it's not the fact that she can't lose weight. It's just that she's more prone to putting on weight.
She's more prone to putting it on.
Yeah.
So her deficit could be a lot lower than ours, but it still exists.
Right.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it's not that we're genetically not the same thing.
It's exactly. And that's these people that say, I've got thyroid weight problems, I've got this problem. Well, you do. But the solution's still there. You just got to eat less calories than I do and it's going to be harder for you and that sucks and I'm sorry, but how bad do you really want it?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I noticed as well that you kind of had a bad relationship with weed. You said that it was part of your habit and part of your routine to smoke weed, get the munchies and get into the chocolate chip cookies and smash them out.
The pizza, the chips, anything while watching a movie or just doing something mindless. Yeah.
What's your relationship with weed now like? Like, did you have to cut it out completely? Could you hold on to it? Like, how do you manage that?
Cannabis has been a part of my life since I was 16. It's something that I always had a relationship with and it was always on and off. And then it got to a point where I was constantly high. It's an interesting drug. A lot of people say that I see no harm in it. I think it's fine. It's just a plant. And if that's your stance on it, I'm not going to argue with you. But the way I see it is I think it's a very, very dangerous drug. It's a habit-forming drug. It makes a lot of people lazy. It kills brain cells. And I don't know if there's research to back that up. I haven't looked into it. But from my personal experience, memory lag became a thing. Laziness became a thing. Eating a lot became a thing, as we could see. I think it's a habit-forming drug, and I think it's cheap dopamine as well. It was what it is for a lot of people. A lot of people go, oh, I can't sleep without it, or I can't do this without it. Yeah, you can, but have you really tried?
Yeah, I mean, you can definitely make that case. And, you know, I always revert back to the fact that I don't think weed's for everyone. No. I don't think everyone should be smoking weed. I think there's a lot of people that are more prone to schizophrenia. I think there's people that are more prone to putting on weight. I think there's more people that are prone to laziness. And it's a really interesting drug that we have used throughout human history forever. Forever. There's reports back of it thousands of years ago. And I think it's just always important to manage your relationship with the substances around you that you use. I think it's no more harmful or no more dangerous than drinking a glass of wine, smoking cigarettes. You know, I don't think you should do any of those things on a constant level, including smoking weed. But I think there should definitely be, it just comes down to personal accountability. I think like anything, there's people that get addicted to the weirdest of shit. They made a whole TV show about it. You can get addicted to anything. Addictions are just part of a human psychology that exists, and I don't know why it exists or why it's there, but it must have something to do on an evolutionary level where people constantly revert back to the same behaviors over and over and over again because they find success with that. And I think if you find a substance that you're constantly returning back to and you're constantly dependent upon to fall asleep or to have a good conversation or to do anything, then that thing has a hold on you.
Exactly.
But then there's anomalies, and there's people that are highly productive while they're high. There's people that flow better in mixed martial arts when they're high. It is so prominent in mixed martial arts scene. Like, you wouldn't expect that elite athletes that are constantly in battle trying to avert head kicks and trying not to get choked out are getting high frequently, but they are, because it has this strange effect on them where they have more control over their body. They're able to hit a flow state a lot better. A lot of creatives use it. A lot of creative writers. What's that author's name? Stephen King. Thank you. Okay. Stephen King. Stephen King wrote the vast majority of his books absolutely coked out of his brain and not sleeping for 6 days. He hit these revs and he hit these levels of creativity that were only accessible to him through those substances. Do I think everyone should go and do that? Absolutely not. But you can't blanket statement everything and say that this is not, and this can never be touched when you do have works of art, when you do have physical accomplishments, or you do have productivity that is made out of it. It's an interesting relationship. I think as human beings, we should study these substances more and understand them better and not be so quick to condemn everything. But
is it sustainable for someone like let's say Stephen King as the example? Is it sustainable for him to always be revved up on drugs?
Oh, no, absolutely not.
So that's kind of the issue that happens. Like, yeah, you're creative and you're accomplishing all these things, but in the long term, you're still damaging yourself.
Oh, absolutely.
Man. You're still doing big damage. And if you're willing to take that, trade-off, then by all means go ahead.
Absolutely.
But a lot of people don't realize that trade-off comes with it. A lot of people go, but I'm more creative when I smoke. Yeah, you probably are. Smoke for 3 or 4 years and then I'll talk to you. You'll be not brain dead, I don't want to say, but it's a harsh term, but you won't be the same. It takes an effect on you, especially when you're smoking it daily.
But I think we're talking about different things now.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that these things are free of consequence.
Yeah, of course.
Think people should have the right to they should have the right to individual freedom. So if you can go out to BWS and buy a bottle of Jack Daniels and drink 3 of them tonight, if you have that ability to go do that, then why can't you go and buy a kilo of cocaine and snort all of that all night, right?
I can think of a lot of problems.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. But I think there's equal problems to both things.
Yeah.
But we treat one as, don't touch this, don't go near this thing.
That's true.
And we've got the other one like, oh yeah, alcohol's fine.
Oh, you want to have a piss up here, mate, go for it. There's a goon sack there for $3 if you need it.
Absolutely. And we all know like the amount of deaths and the amount of problems that alcohol has, but we still accept that as, but you have the individual freedom to go and do this thing.
Yeah.
And I think what happens is that certain drugs, by established principles, get branded in a certain way that you can't go near this thing or this is going to happen. You can't touch this thing or this is going to happen. And when that's generational, when that's constantly being embedded into people's minds, I mean, the whole war on cannabis started because it was a direct competitor to tobacco. So
Richard Nixon, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So they branded it marijuana because it was actually, it was called something else in Mexico, but they branded it marijuana to make it seem like evil and dangerous, and they put it in this whole bucket of narcotics that you shouldn't go anywhere near and smoke cigarettes instead. That was the whole origin of sort of, and that had been embedded into culture for centuries and or for decades and decades rather, to the point now where to try and take that branding off of it is extremely difficult. It's easier to make something illegal than it is to make it legal.
It's commercializing the underworld now.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it too. So that's also something they have to consider. A lot of heavy tax involved. There's a lot of growth houses and plantations that you have to start opening up. It's expensive.
Yeah.
And it's not really worth their time at the moment. Like, Australia's actually getting pretty good.
If you've got the individual ability to go and do all of these things that we say are harmful, then you also have to take on the individual accountability.
Yeah.
And I definitely wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I don't think you should go and do this or go and do that. But like, now we've kind of cast this big bucket of criticism of, you know, just tarnishing the name of a substance, and we've kind of put everything into it together. We just got this blanket statement of drugs, right? So don't go do psilocybin, don't go do mushrooms, don't go do DMT because it's going to be really harmful for you. But hey, here's an Oxy, here's a Percocet. These things are all illegal.
Endones are just like a big epidemic that no one talks about now as well.
It's crazy.
Yeah. The painkiller epidemic, like
the painkiller industry is massive. It's billions and billions of dollars every single year, and they're just being prescribed like Tic Tacs by doctors.
Yeah. I mean, I got prescribed, I had a foot sprain and they prescribed me endos. I'm like, don't you think that's overkill? Like, do you not think to medicate me and drug me out is overkill over a sprained ankle? Just give me Panadine Forte and an ice pack.
Yeah.
I actually had to say that to the doctor. I'm like, why are you giving me endos? It's a sprained ankle.
What did they say?
He's like, oh, it's just the painkiller. And I'm like, you don't give endos like that. Like, I got angry. Because it's personal to me, and I've had, you know, experiences with certain people in my life that have abused these kind of substances. I take it very personal when I see someone just handing these out like they're nothing. I'm like you're a doctor, you're a trained professional. Like, what brings you to the point where you think it's okay to just give everyone endones without a proper screening and a proper consultation?
Yeah.
With 5 minutes, it took 5 minutes, and I had a packet of endones to my name.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane. I sprained my foot. Oh yeah, how bad does it hurt? Yeah, it's like a 7 out of 10. Okay, cool. I'm going to prescribe you some endones.
Yeah. And then you find out that doctors are incentivized, that they get taken on private dinners, they get taken to like lavish resorts by the big pharmaceutical companies that produce things like endones, that produce things like Oxycontin, that produce things like Xanax, they're incentivized and they're told like, hey, you know, you haven't put out enough oxys this month. If you could just get those numbers a little bit higher, you could be in our tier 2 reward system. And then look at all these things you get in the tier 2 reward system. That actually happens. That relationship between pharmaceutical company and doctor happens. And when a doctor's got 15, 20 minutes to deal per client because they're booked out for the next 3 months, they're just like, fuck it, I've just got to get these fucking pills out. I've got to do it.
Pfizer's waiting on them numbers, man.
Exactly.
I think that's probably would have happened with me. I think it's happened with a lot of people. I think it's a dark side of the medical practitioner side that we don't know about.
And they don't talk about it.
No one talks about it. Of course they don't talk about it.
Because it's dangerous to talk about it.
Of course they don't talk about it. Like, we can get into the whole COVID-19 vaccine thing. We can get into a lot of things about the pharmaceutical industry, but it's a dark underworld that we are so hidden from.
Yeah. Well, and like to still man my own argument, right? Like, you could say, well, if you are a member of the Sackler family, and if you are producing billions of dollars a year because people love your product, and if you are and, you know, some people die, but you've got a legacy to protect, you've got that mortgage to pay, you've got that private jet going on, and you've got one of the biggest companies the world has ever seen wouldn't you use all your resources and everything possible to keep that company growing, to keep that gravy chain churning in?
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, a couple of hillbillies out in Ohio fucking overdosed on it, but what are you going to do, you know? Daddy's got to pay. Daddy needs that new artwork. Exactly. Daddy needs more money.
Exactly. And the government's incentivized because they make tax off these businesses. So it's just
sure.
It's just a cycle of corruption and shit eaters is what we're dealing with.
Well, the relationships are so transparent because then you can go down to the FDA and go, oh, well, we need this new kind of sketchy drug pass. It almost passed our third exam. We're only going to show you the third one. And they're like, I don't know. And they're like, hey, listen. We're going to go do a level 2 speech for all the doctors that have been prescribing 100,000 oxycontins a year, and we need public speakers. Who better than the head of the FDA? And you know what? You're going to get a speaking fee for that. And you're going to get a speaking fee for $1 million if you come and speak to this event. He might just sign a couple papers that let that drug go through.
That's crazy. I feel like if we keep talking about this, we're going to end up dead tomorrow. Just like that guy that made that car that runs on water.
Yeah, right? He just...
That's his views.
But it's genuinely, it's been documented, it's true. I'm not speaking out of order here because I can, like, these are stories that have come out over decades and decades of the pharmaceutical companies just running rampant. And then everyone forgets these stories. Everyone just moves on to the next one and moves on to the next one. And then a pandemic comes out and you go and turn to those people that you forget 10 years ago created a heroin addiction in the United States at mass scale and go, oh, we need a solution. What can you do for us?
Yeah.
And everyone forgets. Everyone's so quick to defend them.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy world we live in. I'm restraining myself now because
Are you actually worried?
I'm not worried, but like, man, you can get cancelled so easily. Like,
yeah, fair enough.
Like, these are topics that, like, I know we don't have we've got a platform, but we don't have a platform anywhere near what some people have. But when fact checkers and people go through these things, you can easily get classed as a bullshitter and a liar.
Yeah, I get it. It's very easy to Alex Jones someone's or Adrian Tate someone.
I
don't know. Personally, for me, I'm not scared of it. I feel like if it is, like, you know, and if I do get proven wrong on these things, I'm more than happy to correct it.
Oh, you won't get proven wrong. That's not the problem. You won't get proven wrong.
Right.
But the people that control what others hear have your life in their hands. Not your life in their hands, but your content is in their hands, and they can do whatever they want. They can make you look like whatever they want to make you
Come
look
at
like.
me, bro.
Come for him.
Nothing to hide.
Come for him.
Well, I think, you know, I think...
That's why we stick to sports at Ajuba's couch.
No, I get it. I get it. And it's a smart play. It probably does mean that you will grow faster and get a wider
Uncancelable.
audience. You can't get mad at sports commentators. It's just like, oh, they had a shit take on that one game, or the next game's coming up next week. I get it. Yeah. I get it. But I think, you know, if something does hit my radar and if something does strike me as interesting, then I kind of owe it to speak about it.
Here's one for you.
Shoot.
I've recently been listening to and reading a lot of Graham Hancock. And that's led me to read other artists and other archaeologists and other sources. They're saying that the world is not what we think it is at all. Like the Big Bang Theory, the ancient Egyptians, all that standard stuff that we know can all be just guesses that were wrong, but we're too far gone as a civilization to turn around and admit that we were wrong about them.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know about the pyramids. We all look at them and go, fuck, how did they build those? How did they, how is it so precise? And some people like say aliens, which I don't agree with, by the way. I think we should give humans more credit. And credit where credit is due. Those people were smart and they knew something that we didn't know, something that was lost, something maybe where, as Graham Hancock calls it, we're a civilization with a severe case of amnesia and we've forgotten where we've come from.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this is something you've ever delved into or ever read about. Or
you're talking about youngest, driest impact theory.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, that is what I'm talking about. That's the rabbit hole that I've been in recently. And
all right.
Coming out of it, I'm like, who's to say we didn't evolve as humans to something that was beyond what we can comprehend now? Yeah. And we've just been...
Yeah, so as a general premise, just for people who are tagging along that might not know about this, youngest driest impact theory, basically the whole thing stems around that there are these ancient civilizations like Giuseppe Tepe and like the ancient pyramids and civilizations that were literally built under that showed signs of technology that were far more advanced than what we initially thought. So it would predate human civilizations as a modern human a lot further back. And what they've been able to suggest is that maybe there was a cataclysmic event like a meteor strike or flash flooding or a combination of things that set human civilization back a very like severe amount of time. Because if you put the distance between the pyramids and us today in perspective to what like the technology that they needed back then to produce the pyramids, it doesn't really add up. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't. And what's crazy is, you know, they sit there and tell us, oh, the pyramids are 5,000 years old. And then you look at the carbon dating, for example, and the Sphinx that's been done recently goes back up to 12,000 years old. That's an extra 7,000 years.
Yeah.
It's not a small amount of time. That's closer to us than it is to the actual carbon dating that they've done.
Yeah.
They're finding evidence of like pyramids that were built much, much later, many thousands of years later, nearby, that are not architecturally anywhere near what those pyramids that were built before were. You know, they're finding all these megalithic structures that predate humans as we know it, like Göbekli Tepe, as you mentioned, goes back 12, 13,000 years. And here we are thinking that humans only became from monkeys to humans 5,000 years or 7,000 years ago.
Yeah.
And the idea of a flood, as well as you mentioned the flood, I find it quite interesting how every single civilization that ever existed, that hunter-gatherers and, you know, back then when we were still hunter-gatherers, you know, whether it's a religious story or an ancient myth or a legend, all refer to a flood. You've got Noah's Ark that refers to a flood. You've got the Mayans that all refer to a cataclysmic flood. You've got the Japanese, you've got the Indonesians, you've got all these people who had no association with each other back then, allegedly, speaking of a flood that wiped out humanity and humanity had to reset and start again and build again. At what point do you say these stories are all the same?
Yeah.
These pyramids all look the same.
Yeah.
Like the pyramids in Mexico look very, very similar to the pyramids in Egypt. The pyramids in the Amazon rainforest are known to look familiar. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy how we never made those connections before, but now that we're digging deeper into them, we're asking those questions. We're saying like, why did Noah's Ark sound exactly like the ancient Mayan legend from 12,000 years ago?
Yeah, and you know, like it's such an interesting topic because what it does is it puts into perspective. What it does for me anyways is, because I'm not a big history buff. Like I've recently started listening to Dan Carlin's Hardcore History.
That's good.
It's a very good podcast, but I do find myself like struggling to stay focused on it. It's not my thing. But what the situation around youngest dryas impact theory really does for me is that we have no fucking control as to what goes on, man.
A black hole could open up right next to us.
We could be hit by meteorites today.
And we couldn't do nothing about it.
Absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You think if this theory is true and there was youngest dryas impact theory and there was a very advanced civilization 7, 10, 12,000 years ago that had a lot more technology than what we give them credit for, and they were set back into the Stone Age and had to start rebuilding again, then what's to stop that from happening today? Because they had the same problems that we have today. They had the same, you know, territorialism and hunger and desire for more and greed. That's just human.
Yeah.
So they are us just in a different time period. And so what we're experiencing right now, we think, oh, well, you know, if we reduce our carbon output and if we make sure that we are, you know, environmentally friendly, and if we, as long as we don't blow each other up in nuclear war and pray for the Ukraine and we do all these things, and everything's going to be okay, because as human beings, we want to have that feeling of being able to exert control onto our environment. But the reality is that if you looked through the entire history of the Earth's climate and the way that it moves, it's completely random. It's completely uncontrollable. And we've just had a good run.
Yeah, we've had a really good couple of thousand years.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's nothing stopping it from tomorrow, like from raining asteroids down on us tomorrow.
Exactly.
We don't control the universe. We don't control the Milky Way. We don't control what comes and flies past us. It could happen next week. We could just be set back to the Stone Ages. And how many times has it happened is also an interesting theory. Like,
exactly.
How many times have we been reset because of how likely it is? And and like how the world just react. I mean, the world goes on with or without us.
Yeah.
That's the funny thing. And I still believe that, you know, if we were wiped out as a civilization, I think it's very possible for it to start again and dawn in the same way. I think that's the world will continue.
All these Pfizer guys are going to be in their bunkers ready to go when those meteorites come.
Exactly. Like
probably with a whole bunch of oxy.
We're back to this again. I moved the conversation on because I didn't want to die.
You did a good job. You did a good job.
I didn't want to die.
No, on that note, I do think it's, I just want to make very clear that I do think human beings do have an impact on the climate. I do think reducing the amount of carbon we put out probably is a good thing. I'm not 100% sure. No, I'm not a climate scientist. And if you are one and you're listening to this and you're cringing at some 23-year-old's hot
Greta.
take on this, please come through. Come through. Prove me.
Yeah.
Like, educate me for sure. But what my instincts tells me is that there are two things going on right now. Humans definitely having an impact on the environment. There is more plastic in the ocean than ever before. There is more carbon emitted into the atmosphere than ever before. There is just there's oil spills. And like you saw what happened in Ohio recently in East Palestine. It's horrible with toxic chemicals that were just blown into the air.
Oh, we're fucking this planet up. There's no question about it.
There's no question about that.
Yeah.
But how much impact are we actually having is the question. Is the world just going through a cycle right now? Are we just going through a period of time where the earth is resetting and then we might get hit with a cool age, or we might get hit with crazy global warming, and then after a period of 100, 200, 300 years, then it comes back down to this state?
I personally think once the earth is sick of us, it will get rid of us.
Right.
Yeah.
I think she's just like, fuck
Yeah,
off.
just get out of here, you pest. And like I said, well, no matter what happens to us, the world will go on, it will reset, and it will start again. And it makes you realize how insignificant you are as humans. Like you're just on this gigantic spaceship flying through the sky. You're a bag of flesh and blood and bones, which is all you are. And you know, we think that we're gods. We act like gods almost. You know, this world needs us. We need to. No, it doesn't. It goes on with or without you. You can use up all its resources, and once you're gone, those resources will come back. It'll replenish.
You know, if you look throughout all of human history and all of human civilization that we have documented, there's maybe a handful of names that people remember. There's a handful of names, you know. You can go Julius Caesar, you can go Jesus, you can go Muhammad, you can go Martin Luther King, there's a handful of names throughout all of...
Nikola Tesla comes to mind for me.
Nikola Tesla, Einstein. Yeah. But it's not like a crazy 10,000 person list either.
Exactly.
So all the rest of the human experience is just gone.
Compared to how many names you know versus how many humans have come and gone, like trillions, right?
Yeah.
Trillions. At the end of the day, we're so insignificant. Yeah. Speaking of Nikola Tesla, actually, I've got a conspiracy theory I want to throw at you. And I want you to tell me what you think. This is a wild one, so strap in.
I'm ready.
You know Area 51, right?
I've heard of it.
You've heard of Area 51. Okay. Now, you know Nikola Tesla's work was taken by the US government and patented.
I thought it was Einstein that patented it.
No, the US government patented all of his work and refuses to release any of it.
Right.
I heard a crazy conspiracy from a friend of mine who came up with this himself. So shout out to you, because I've been thinking about it a lot. Imagine Area 51 is not what we think it is. It's not an alien site. They're not hiding aliens there. That's where they're testing Nikola Tesla's ideas that he had. And that's why there's all these anomalies going on. That's why there's UFOs flying around and all this weird stuff happening in the US, is that Nikola Tesla's ideas are being tested in a sophisticated way now. Because he was known to come up with ideas that could change, that can manipulate matter, that can manipulate gravity, and that can change the way that... Yeah. Oh, you know about...
No.
A lot of his work was around manipulation of matter and the discovery of a third dimension, or a fourth dimension and a fifth dimension. Some Stranger Things shit is what I'm talking about here. Now, the theory is, imagine that the US government has closed off this area. I said, it's aliens. Yeah, we're dealing with aliens here. Don't come here, guys. And close it off completely and let everyone believe whatever the fuck they want to believe. And they're in there working on this crazy science stuff. I call it science stuff. I'm so sorry. Don't come for me. But all these crazy experiments.
You know, there was recently footage that came out, and it's interesting how we're getting it more and more frequently now, whereas for the longest period of time, they wouldn't put aliens or anything on that story anywhere near mainstream media. They wouldn't, establishment media, they wouldn't put it anywhere near it. And if they did, you're a kook, you're a conspiracy theorist, they don't want you to touch it. And then over the last 3 or 4 years, we've just been getting more and more of a drip feed into this weird technology, like the flying Tic Tac, for example. So for people who aren't aware, a bunch of, Air Force commanders in the United States spotted a Tic Tac that was able to drop from 3,000 feet in the air to literally sea level in a matter of a second. And it just went straight down, and it had no means of visible propulsion. It had no heat signatures. It was very strange technology that was completely unreplicatable. And you have to wonder, well, where does something like that come from? Why? And if you assume that these guys are accurate, which I would, they are, because they're highly military grade trained human beings. These aren't just your random Joe Blow that smoked too much pot and saw aliens. These are guys that are trained to fire guns at high altitudes to other planes that are moving at ridiculous speed. These guys don't fuck around.
Physically fit as well.
Physically fit, mentally very checked.
That G-force will be insane.
100%. We've seen Top Gun. We know the caliber of human being that comes out of these programs. And when they're all reporting the same thing, you have to give that some merit. So you have to ask yourself, what is that? What is the flying Tic Tac? Well, is it an interdimensional species that has come to visit us?
So, I was always a big believer of the alien theory. I always said, it's so impossible for the universe to be so large and we're the only ones in it.
Yeah.
But what I'm coming to terms with now is the universe is so large. Maybe aliens exist, but the likelihood of aliens finding us or us finding them, it's like a 1 in a quintillion trillion chance.
Okay, yeah.
Because it's so fucking big. How are you going to narrow it down to? You've seen how small Earth is.
Yeah.
How the fuck are you going to narrow it down and end up in the
Have you seen those videos of zooming out of Earth?
Yeah. And that just puts it into perspective. If aliens did exist, they could never find us. In a billion years, they could never find us because needle in a haystack.
Maybe.
So, mate, it's very unlikely.
But what we're talking about here is a species. If you take the premise that they have found us, then you have to accept the fact that they would be so much more technologically advanced than what we are that we wouldn't even comprehend their means of compulsion. We wouldn't even comprehend their means of traveling.
It's like an ant looking at a boot.
Yeah, exactly. That's the exact thing. So you wouldn't be able to understand it within the framework that we would live in.
Sure.
But when you look at the scale of the universe and how big it is and how many life forms that could possibly exist out there, that it becomes almost unrealistic to expect that at least at a minimum, we're the only ones that have life. At a very basis minimum.
Yeah, of course.
Whether they've been able to visit or not is a different story in of itself.
Yeah.
But if you're going to take away the avenue that these things are from aliens, then you have to say, okay, this thing exists on planet Earth.
Exactly. And I think that's much more likely. I think that's much more likely.
Okay, so what the fuck is that Tic Tac?
And we go back to the Nikola Tesla.
Here we are.
To the Nikola Tesla experiments. His work, why was it patterned? Why was it hidden from the world? Why was no one ever allowed to see it? And why was a man who was so dedicated to manipulating matter and discovering the gravity equation and had a lot to do with us discovering but learning how to conduct electricity, was so fascinated with the pyramids and how they were built and why they were built, all of a sudden all his work is just hidden from the world and no one's allowed to see it and or read it. Einstein's work isn't patterned. Thomas Edison's work isn't patterned. Only Nikola Tesla's, and he was the only one that went above and beyond and thought outside of his mind. Was known to take a lot of DMT and mushrooms.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like this Tesla guy. He seems like quite the character.
Yeah. Shout out Serbia.
I'd have a beer with him, I reckon.
Yeah, honestly, I think he's a great guy to have a beer with. I think
what's going on with the pyramids, man? Tell me the truth.
Nikola Tesla, let's get on Luca's podcast and talk about that shit. But why did the US government pattern all his work and then hide it? And then 2 years later, we've got Area 51 and all these, there's aliens. Everyone run for the hills.
Yeah. It's a very good question. It's a very good question. It does warrant thinking about.
Exactly. And, all this technology that we don't know about, as you mentioned, we're just getting glimpses of a flying motorbike. That's been around for 30 years.
Yeah. Well, the cynic in me says that this technology is being specifically harnessed in a way that's militaristic in nature, because if we go back to establishment and what it what its main producers of, money are, war is a big part of that. And the splitting of the atom, I can't remember for its exact purpose was, but it wasn't designed to be a bomb. I think it was designed to be like a form of energy, a form of like being able to produce energy at a scalable level. And they went and took that and turned it into a bomb. So often what happens with scientific discovery is that its first application is weaponized. Yeah. And
if we could manipulate matter, it's probably a month before the US military weaponizes that.
Exactly.
Like they got Professor X sitting in a wheelchair, just like picking up Ukrainians or Russians and sending it's the first thing everyone thinks is with technology is weaponizing it.
And this was a big thing that happened during the Second World War. Straight afterwards, we had the dropping of the first atomic bomb on Japan. And what that did was send a message to the entire world that, hey, our guns and our bombs are bigger and badder. You better not fuck
But then what happened after that was every other country ran to their labs and started developing the same things.
Well, that was happening beforehand with Nazi Germany. So Nazi Germany was actually developing the atomic bomb first, and then it fell on Eisenhower's... Sian, could you Google something for me? Who? Eisenhower. I just want to get something like some weird German name. Could you just find out who invented the atomic bomb? So anyways, this scientist was actually, we might find out first.
Just let me share my screen.
Holding music.
It's me at work.
Show me. Oppenheimer.
You can see that?
Oppenheimer, yeah.
Jeez,
I've got eyes
impressive. Nice.
20/20 vision.
Yeah.
So yeah, Oppenheimer came out and discovered the ability to split the atom, which created the atomic bomb. But prior to that, there was a race with Nazi Germany to do the same thing. So the US was in this weird spot where they were like, the only way we can end this war is if we develop this atomic bomb that will be able to stop Nazi Germany from taking over. So there was an arms race going on, and the US cracked the code first, and that gave them the political playing field to be the dominant force for the next 50, 60, 70 years, which we see them to be today because of their military might and their military power. So on one hand, you can make the case, well, what happens if you give that ability to drop the atomic bombs to Nazi Germany? What happens in that case? If you literally give it to Hitler, the power to create and destroy worlds, you give that to Hitler. What happens then?
It's finished. We as a species we wouldn't be here right now.
Right?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, what consequences does that have by giving it to the United States?
Well, now everyone lives in fear.
Right. And I believe it was Einstein that said that this is the first generation of people where we all live under the pretense of there's an invisible gun being pointed at you every single day. And that is what it means to live in a modern context, is that every country has nuclear power now. Every country has the ability to drop bombs that will destroy the planet 3,000 times over.
Speaking of humans having a reset, that could be one of our resets.
Oh, for sure.
That's honestly...
Nowadays?
Yeah.
It's never felt real to me. Like, I just, look, North Korea's got nuclear bombs, blah, blah, blah.
Now you see people like Putin and...
Yeah, right.
And the things that they say, and that's what's released to us. I don't know. We don't know what happens behind closed doors. We don't know what is going through these people's heads. But what we do know is there is a magic button and it's real.
Yeah.
And I think everyone should come to terms with that. Your life's not in your hands.
No.
Your life's in the hands of these politicians, these people who are at war with each other. Yeah. And we could just become accessories.
And it's all just like a very intricate game of chess.
Yeah.
Just this piece moves here, this piece moves there, this piece moves here. You're not recording me, are you? Are you? Okay, amazing. It's just this intricate game of chess of this piece moves here and this piece moves there. And it's so complex, but it's really just... It's tribalism at its purest form. It's this is my hut, this is your hut. Don't go anywhere near my hut.
Yeah, this is my bush, my berries.
Yeah,
my hunting. Yeah, it's hunter gatherers. We never snapped out of that.
No,
that phase.
Well, we're given the tools of gods. We're given the tools to create and destroy planets, but we still have the evolutionary background of monkeys.
I think the way our species survives another reset is when we become interplanetary, which I think we will. but keeping in mind that if one of those resets doesn't come very soon.
Yeah, right.
But I think if we make it through the next 100, 200 years, they're very likely for us to become an interplanetary civilization, and then we survive those resets and find other places
Would
to
you
colonize.
go to Mars?
Would I go to Mars? Yeah. Oh, man, definitely.
Yeah?
I would die on Mars.
For real?
Oh, yeah, man. Definitely. My goal is to die on Mars. Like, I want to be alive when humans can actively take themselves and go to other planets. That's been a dream of mine. So if I was given the opportunity, they said, hey, look, you're worth $100 million. It costs you $100 million to die on Mars. I'd be like, yeah, take me. Take me
real?
there. Yeah, for sure, man.
Do you know how much Mars is going to suck in those first couple of years?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, I'm not romanticizing it at all. I know it's going to be tough and it's going to be hard, but, you know, imagine being the Adam and Eve of your generation.
Right. Yeah.
You know, when the stories are told 1,000 years from now, they're going to be like, you know, there was Mehmet and his disciples, and they told
You just want to go up to Mars and start a cult?
Honestly, once we're there, it's my word. Whatever I say goes.
Yeah, fair.
Here's my commandments.
Right.
Thou shalt gamble.
It'd be interesting to see, like, how as a society we, like, is this our first chance at a do-over?
It is.
This is our first chance to go, okay, like, that place, you know, we kind of fucked that one up. What are we going to do here different?
Exactly. Can you imagine if we go to Mars and we find evidence of humans having lived there? Can you imagine that?
Talk about a reset.
Because that is something that goes through my mind. Like, what if we go to Mars and we find pyramids?
Fuck.
This is thoughts. This is all thoughts, by the way. Imagine we go to Mars and, you know, we start colonizing and they go, that pyramid looks very similar to the one in Giza, man.
Yeah.
Like, is that a rock? Like, is that a rock form? No, that's skeletons. That's a human. Yeah.
I saw a fucking hilarious clip on Instagram. It's of Elon Musk landing on Mars for the first time. And, you know, it's this big moment of opening the doors and, all right, guys, we're here, we're on Mars. And then in the distance, you see, stay hard, motherfucker. It's David Goggins, right?
You never quit. Like, how did you get here, David? Like, he ran.
Yeah, he ran. Fucking flawless.
Yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, no, I love what Elon's doing at SpaceX. Like, I love that we have someone whose life goal is to get us to Mars, because I think he realizes that we're not safe on Earth.
Yeah.
We're not. Like, honestly, people can bash me all they want for saying this and say, oh, but, you know, and I think I'll get a lot of people that are very close-minded that will bash me for saying this, but we're not safe on Earth because black holes are real, man.
Yeah.
Stars explode all the time, and we don't know why they explode or when they explode. Matter shifts in a way which we do not understand. So to say that we're safe here and nothing's ever going to happen is very ignorant.
Well, it's just a point of privilege, man.
Yeah, it's ignorance is so bliss, though. Because
we've lived in the best period of time possible in human history.
you think so?
I think so.
I think it's better to come. I know the world looks bleak and shit right now, but I think we will get better.
For sure. But I'm just saying, up until this point.
Yeah.
Up until right now.
We're the most comfortable.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got Wi-Fi. We can send each other photos like that. We go home in this aircon. It's 40 degrees outside. We can't even feel it.
I can move countries and not miss my mum because I can speak to her.
I think, you know, we're in a very interesting point in the human experience where travel is available to us and information is available to us and resources are available to us in ways that we've never experienced before.
And we waste all of that too. Do you know what's crazy? All this knowledge.
You think so?
I think all this knowledge at our fingertips, I think a vast majority of us are wasting it.
Maybe.
I mean, going back to the weight loss story, I learned all this stuff about health and fitness and...
Think about the conversation we've had today and how many turns it's made.
Yeah, that's
right? True. Only because we have access to the internet.
Exactly. That's the only reason. And we utilize it, people like you and I, but I can't help but think that there are people out there that just find it as TikTok.
Yeah.
Reels, YouTube Shorts.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people are not capitalizing on the knowledge that's in front of them, and just, you know, I know a lot of people that just have Instagram, TikTok as apps on their phones, and if you look at their screen time, it's fucking disgusting.
Yeah. I get it, but man, I get it because I hear what you're saying, but on the same token, I think, you know, some people, man, it's just escapism. Like, they work long hours and they work hard shifts and they don't have the same opportunities that we get to do these things because we love them and we have projects that we're passionate about. Some people never find that. Some people never find a thing that makes them want to work more. Some people get home after a long day of work and they just want to tune into the news, eat their food, watch Instagram reels and fall asleep. And some people, like, that's all they've got, you know? And like, we're so fortunate that we found a craft and we found a lane that we can go down and love every second of it. Like, I never feel more alive than as when I'm recording these podcasts. I have the best conversations when I'm doing them, man.
He does.
And it's just like, I walk out into the real world and I don't get this depth. I don't get to learn about you. I don't get to learn about the things that interest you if we were just at a pub. You know, this is everything for me and I love it so much. And I think if I didn't have this, I would probably suck as well.
Yeah.
I would probably be scrolling through Instagram or TikTok or whatever.
I think it's important to be mindful of your surroundings and be in the moment. I think that's what we lack as humans at the moment, is we live so far in the future in our minds that we don't get to enjoy now. We don't get to enjoy, you know, the food that we're eating now, the air that we're breathing, the water that we're drinking, just the little simple things. Like, we're always yearning for answers for the future, from the past. Like, a lot of people are like, oh, where did we come from? Like, we were just talking about it. Where did we come from? How did this all start? But, you know, what does it matter at the end of the day? Just enjoy the present. Fuck the future. Fuck the past. Like, and it's so cliche, but a lot of people cannot do this. Like, that's the reason people set goals for themselves and then they accomplish them. And then it's like, oh, you're done? No, I'm not done. I got to go get more. I need more. Just enjoy what you have now. Otherwise, you'll never be happy. Like, a lot of people, when they accomplish these goals that they set for themselves and they forget to enjoy and live in the moment. They forget to ground themselves because they've already put the next one in their minds and they're already stressing about the next goal. Stop stressing is my advice to people. Yeah. Is if it's not controllable by you, then you should not spend a second to stress about it. And that's easier said than done. It
takes away from the experience and it's hard to be present.
Yeah.
It's hard to be focused on being alive right now.
We've got to start wrapping up. The next podcast starts in 15 minutes.
Okay. Sweet. Yeah. Listen, Mems, it's been really fun talking to you.
I feel like we didn't have enough time.
I know. Quickly, I want to just one last thing.
Go for it.
Yeah, your travels.
Yeah.
How was it?
Oh, life change. That's another episode.
That's another episode, isn't it?
That's life changing, man. It's changed a lot about me.
Give me the TikTok version of it.
TikTok version of it. I'd never traveled in my life. Decided to travel by myself. Go to Europe. Big motivator for me was to watch the Manchester City games. Football was a big motivator. But I decided to make it a 2-month thing. Quit my job, okay? Jumped in a plane, flew to Europe, spent 2 months there, came back. I don't want to get married. I don't want to have kids. I don't want to buy a house. I just want to travel and see the world and see what it has to offer for me. That's my goal in life, and I think you should travel too because it is an unforgettable experience. It'll change you as a person, and you will not come back with the same mentality, I guarantee you. And if you travel alone, you will be depressed, but it will be a beneficial depression, believe it or not.
Yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you 100%.
Yeah, I discovered so much about myself. Maybe get rid of the part where I said I don't want to get married or have kids because my mum will probably flip out if she ever hears that because my mum listens to this stuff. But I realized a lot about myself. I don't want to get married now and I want to have kids now. I want to travel first. Better way of saying it. Sorry, Mum, I love you.
Yeah. I get it, man. Listen, bro, it's been really fun talking to you. We have to do this again.
Man, I'm definitely booking the next one in.
Yeah, for sure.
Let's do it again.
Let's fucking do it.
We'll talk about Europe.
Yes. Where can the people find you? Where can the people support you?
Yes. Ajeba's Couch on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Weekly podcast about the Premier League on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Weekly podcast about the NRL on Wednesdays at 6 p.m. TikToks, you'll see me give my UFC predictions. I got one right yesterday, but it's okay. We go again. At Ajeba's Couch.
Beautiful. Listen, guys, go check him out. He's got an amazing story, amazing podcast. I feel like we got a lot of it, but not all of it.
We didn't scratch the surface, man. We're doing this again.
Yeah, we definitely have to do this again, but it's fun, bro.
It is,
it's
definitely.
Really fun.
I love it.
We'll do this again another time.
Done.